Okay, so whoop. This is the FX3. This is a camera I bought for YouTube. Coincidentally, I bought this camera so I can do YouTube videos with a bigger camera when I'm talking to camera, and I ended up renting it a few times on jobs, which was not something I thought was going to happen. I honestly bought this camera for YouTube stuff, and this is a really powerful tool. But there are cameras that Sony just released that can get you in the door really close to what this camera can do for pennies cheaper. You could do the same thing that I'm trying to do, the same rig, and have it lighter with the new Sony A6700. It's an APS-C camera. The sensor's smaller, the camera's lighter. Anyways, you could do something similar to what I'm trying to achieve with this big camera, with a smaller camera that just came out, and it has the same S-Log3, same 10-bit. It's kind of crazy right now what Sony's giving to the people for the prices. Anyways, so this is what I'm using right now. So I've tried a few lenses on this system. So this is the FE F4 PZ. It's a 16 to 35. It's a power zoom. So it has the lens has a rocker for zoom right here. Sorry, yeah, right here, tight and then wide, which is really cool. It's also got iris on the outside of the lens, which is really nice, and you can declick it, which is something that Sony lenses do. New Sony lenses do, which is really cool. And the reason that I think this lens is perfect for the gimbal is that when you zoom, the lens doesn't move forward or back like this is a zoom lens, a 24-70. See how it moves up and down? The way that these FE or these PZ lenses work is they don't go back and forth. So when you put this on a gimbal, it's great because the weight doesn't change very much. The weight changes because the camera's now getting longer on the gimbal, so then you have to change it. Anyways, that's why I got this lens. Also, the FX3 has a rocker on it right here, and that also triggers the zoom on the lens, which is super cool. That this is, and you can control the speed of the zoom, so you can do like real slow pullbacks. Anyways, pretty sweet. So I use some of those functions and features I just talked about for work stuff. Haven't really implemented it onto YouTube yet. For YouTube, really, I am just shooting this lens at 16 mil, and you guys have seen on the 3 videos I've done with this camera and on my back. I have tried it at 16 mil with no stabilization on for all of the videos. All the videos, excuse me, I'm burping a lot right now. I'm not using in-camera stabilization. So there's a sensor stabilization on the camera. It's moving. I'm sure everyone knows. I try to act like everyone knows this, but I know some of you don't. So the sensor kind of moves to stabilize, and there's 2 modes of stabilization. There's it's like standard, and one's like active, I think. And when it's on standard, you don't lose a lot of the lensing doesn't. It's like the same, like you put a 16 mil on there and you change the stabilization on, the picture stays at 16. There's another mode called active, and when you turn it to active, you lose focal length because it's cropping in a little bit to give you more stabilization. And this cropping is what you guys saw on my lens. I had it on full active when I was filming the Bedford burning race, and that's why my camera looked not as fast as the GoPro. The GoPro was super wide, right? So like the speed is intensified when you have more things coming around you. The shorter your focal length and you're going in a moving forward and the camera's moving, it's gonna lose that perception of speed. Does it make sense to you? So this camera, when I had it full active, I realized right away that I lose focal length and I lost the sense of speed. So I don't like that. So then I turned it off and made changes. Of course, I'm still trying to fix the camera setup. I'm going to get to just talking about the camera right now and not the way that I mount it, because it's on a gimbal, it's on my back. It's a long process. So I was just trying to dial in. I'm just telling you my thought process, just using the camera right now. So now I know, like, I don't want to use full active stabilization unless I have a wider lens. I don't own a wider lens, so I'm not going to go buy a wider lens right now. So the best bet is to turn it off. So I turned it off. And when I had it off, I filmed with Crusha, testing out the camera with no stabilization, and I just had the gimbal like pretty much like locked onto my back. That's it. No dampener. So like a dampener is, I can just show you what a dampener looks like. I have one right here, but I don't want, here, I'll just show you. I'm sorry, isolator, not a dampener. So this is an isolator. You see how these little things move? This basically takes the small vibrations. I'm going to show you this thing in a second, but that takes the small vibrations out of your shot. Like, it's mostly for car rigs, really. It's so like the vibration of the road and the car motor, it doesn't, it isolates it from the camera, the sensor of the camera, basically, if you think about it like that. Just want to get rid of those little bumps. So that thing helps by taking out all the little micro things, right? Anyways, so that is, yeah, so that was without an isolator. And then when I filmed with Ari at nighttime, I put the isolator on. So that's why in the beginning of the video I was like, this is camera rig number blah blah blah, have an isolator on, it should be better. What you don't know is the camera angle, like where the gimbal sits on the isolator, was incorrect. So the isolator was actually kicked, I think it was kicked back a little bit. So like it's already like, when I'm on my bike, I need to make sure that the gimbal is straight and that isolator is perfectly straight, right? So like imagine yourself wearing a backpack on a bike. You have to like kick that isolator. You want to get that camera and that gimbal to be like this. That way the isolator works to its best ability. When it's kicked back, it's leaning on these two, parts here more than on these parts, right? So then it doesn't work very well, and it's hitting. And then when you do hit little bumps, it's way more noticeable than if it was level, right? So that was the issue with that camera rig. I fixed that, and I've now have the angle where it needs to be. And I'm at a point, I have footage, it's going on Ari's channel. Like I said, I was filming with Ari for a couple days and nights. We have a couple more shoots we still have to do. And then I have to sort through the footage. It's a ton of footage, but, yeah, we're doing an edit for his channel. So that footage is the most recent, but I don't know when that stuff's going to come out. But I'm pretty stoked on where we're at right now without buying anything new. This is all stuff. Well, I had to buy this like back brace thing that I'm about to show you, but this is stuff I've already owned. So FX3 16 to 35 PZ. If you were smart, if you want to get into this yourself, what I would do is I would buy a Sony A67 or an FX30. But really, if you want to get into it really cheap, an A67, which just came out, and get the because it's I always fuck up the sensor size name, APC, ASP, whatever. It's Super 35 size sensor. It's a little bit smaller than this, but so you need to get you have to get a wider lens for it. The benefit of all this is like the camera's lighter, the lens is lighter, like everything's lighter, so you're not putting as much weight on your back. So it's all good. At a certain point when it's too light, you kind of want to have some weight, but whatever. Anyways, so there we go. And now I'm going to show you what I was doing on my back. I might need to turn this mic on, but you guys said the levels were too low, so let me see. Check, check. Oh, oh, oh. Check, check, check. Oh well, I'm not gonna do it because I don't. Let me see it. Check, check, check. All right, cool. That's all right if it's not working. All right, here we go. You said the PC fans are cooking? Nah, dog. Those are the fans in here because it's summertime in New York City. The Stuttering Skater, there he is, dude. We were just talking about your channel. Okay, so I'll try to do this with this mic in front of my face. So this is where I've landed right here. This is what I'm on now. This is a hunting bag, and it's funny because a few people were saying this was some people were saying I was using a lawn chair or something, or like a folding chair on Instagram to film, and they're like, you do a lot better if you use the hunting bag or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I know, that's what I'm using. I mean, I didn't respond, I just laughed at it, but yeah, that's what this setup is. And basically before this, I just shoved a bunch of wood in a backpack to try and let me just rest this down here to try and keep it like a sturdy thing to clamp to grip to, basically. So this right here is the isolator, and this is what the gimbal attaches to. And all of these are called magic arms. or Israeli arms for some reason they're called as well on production. And these are just like monitor arms and stuff to hold different things. And I'm just using what I have here. So the only thing I bought to make this thing work is the the bag itself, and these little, I bought some new, like these little clamps here. You can't really see these like clamps here. I have super clamps, but I was using those before, but those were way too heavy and way too big. And I knew that if I bought some of these, that it would really just shrink down the whole kit a little bit. So I'm not putting so much on my back. The thing that you haven't seen is that I put the gimbal, I'll show you, I'll grab the gimbal and everything, but I power the gimbal with a big battery, like a V-mount battery that I use for my Ursa, my bigger camera. And yeah, let me put that on here. So typically, everyone knows what this is on YouTube these days. Everyone knows what a gimbal is these days. Like everyone knows what this does now, right? It creates more stabilized footage, right? So I put the camera on here, and normally there's a handle that goes on here with a battery, and that's how most people use these gimbals. I'm using I have a tilt-a-car rig because I put this gimbal in a car. I've only done it a few times, and anyways, it comes with this plate and a power plug right here. It's 2-pin power, and it has a plate, so then I can slide the gimbal on. La-di-da, right? Tighten it down, and then you power it with the 2-pin to D-tap. So 2-pin LEMO here. Can't reach over there with this on my lap. Anyways, this goes into here, and then it gets plugged into a big battery. You guys know what a V-mount or a gold mount battery looks like here? This is a V-mount battery. Can you focus? Not on my face? Thank you. Anyways, this gets plugged in. This is a D or a P tap, that little thing with the, right there. That's where you get power from. If you sit around on YouTube all day and stare at people's camera rig builds, like camera porn, it seems to be, or it used to be, like a topic on YouTube. People would just be like, this is my camera rig for 2020, and they would show you all the dumb ways they probably never really even use it to shoot. They just put all these like parts on it and build it up all huge. Yeah, so that's, a lot of people put V-mounts on there. So anyways, this powers the gimbal now, and it also allows the gimbal to be shorter, right? Because it's now only this tall, instead of having to put a big old handle on the bottom, right? And also it gives us a nice 2-point, we have 2 screws going in the bottom instead of 1, which this only has 1 on the bottom. So it's a little more sturdy, secure, that is. I still use like a safety tie down on the camera, just in case. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's the weekly checkup. That's where I'm at right now with the camera rig and everything. And I'm trying to, let's see if this link worked. Oh, there it is. It did work. Sick. I'm trying to I'm not trying to replace the GoPro, honestly. I mean, I mean that type of riding. What I'm trying to do is bring a camera, a slightly larger camera, into my into some of my video ideas that I want to do. I want to do stuff that's not just 100% on the bike. Like a good example of a video is let's see, I think New York's Dangerous Bridges. Terry B. So Andre helped me shoot this video. Let me see if I can drop this here. Right here. Andre helped me shoot this video right here. You see this? You're not gonna be able to hear it, but so this is shot with the FX3 right here. Like this camera. Let me see. Let's put the quality up, bro. Probably gonna crash everything. So this is FX3. This is Andre shooting. This is, when did it come out? This is over a year ago. And this was a little more informational, The thing is, when we start riding, we got the Spanish. It's nice. The Spanish subtitles. Y'all didn't know? When we start riding, like this POV footage, I shot this with my phone. And it's fine. It looks great. It looks just as, good for YouTube. But I could shoot everything on the FX3 now for a video like this. Like this right here is with my phone as well. I gave it to Andre. And this is fine as well. But I could shoot this if I had the backpack rig for this shoot. You would see over my head, right? I think I even have Andre following me with the GoPro. I think this one's shot on GoPro here. It's just, it still looks good, but I'm trying to use the same camera for everything, and this would be a good idea for using the same camera. So that's what I'm trying to do here, y'all. Just trying to make it so I shoot with one nicer camera, instead of switching and having like 3 different camera sources on there. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's only me. I'm the one that's making it more difficult, but I've always wanted to get something like this set up, and finally, it's finally coming and very, very close to me being like, it's perfect. So let me see. So this is a good question. Does the FX3 setup easily pull off the gimbal for a quick handheld? And yes, it does. So here, I'll show you. I'll show you right here. So imagine this is attached to the backpack already with here. Okay. And I'll show you how the FX3 mounts to the gimbal already. This isn't, you have to buy this cage that I have on here. But so this cage has an Arca Swiss bottom. And this, oh, it's not even on here. Hold on. Let me get the actual plate. All right. So I always forget which way this goes in. Okay. So this plate is a It's an Arca Swiss plate, so it just grabs onto the rails of the camera. So when I'm shooting on the gimbal, we're on the gimbal now. We're on the backpack. Imagine this is attached to the backpack. And if I want to go handheld, no gimbal, it's one screw on the back. And we're off the gimbal. And so this is now still attached to the backpack. We can shoot with this right now. Another way we can go, say you want to shoot with the gimbal but not on the backpack. Well, we have this quick release plate here. There's two things you got to do to make this work. Let me grab the pieces. Almost couldn't find it. Okay. First thing is you put on this, which is supplied when you buy the gimbal. That's for the handle. You just slide it on here. And then you put on this handle. I use this one. And they're usually already together, right? I go like this. And then all you need to do is take that power cable that you have for the backpack and you pull it out of the battery, or you take the battery off, and now you can shoot on the gimbal handheld without it being on the backpack. It's so quick and easy. If I wanted to, I could just keep this on here while I was operating the backpack, but that's a lot, so I usually don't have it on. We're actually, Krusha and I are doing a shoot later today where we're going to go backpack to handheld to possible gimbal usage. It's food related, guys. You might like it. It's food and bikes. Okay, so it does pull off. So hopefully that answered you. Yoey wants us to know when Japan. I'll be in Japan in September. So I'll see you in September if you're there, Yoey. Does frame rate impact the stabilization at all? Sorry for non-video person question. Your videos definitely have a cinematic look. Frame rate impacts stabilization when it's in camera stabilization. Frame rate does not impact the stabilization of the gimbal, no, or the backpack, no. But the more pixels, like if we're referring to a GoPro, the more pixels, not this setup, but like a smaller camera, like a GoPro, they do kind of like a calculated stabilization. Their sensor doesn't move. They use gyro data while it's shooting to stabilize. And when you have pixels that are blurry, it's giving it less information to stabilize with. And so the stabilization doesn't look as good. Does that make sense to you? I hope it does. FX30 versus FX3 is just sensor size, honestly. Sensor size and the native ISOs are different. I can shoot like at nighttime with this camera. With the FX30 you can't as much. You still can, but not as much. This thing, its native ISOs is 800 and then 12,600. So it is insane. It is insane. You can shoot at night. So nice. Is Crusher going to make you eat more pine cones? No, this is just kind of more like a, you know, if you come to New York, Crusher's, you know, kind of like spots. There are bikes in it, but it's mostly, yeah, we'll be biking to get some food. Chaos wants to know if I'm meeting up with Toy Dog. I am, dude. There's a Slow Squad meetup. Yeah, going camping in Japan. What frame rate you shoot in? I shoot on this camera now with the new firmware update. I shoot in straight 24. So it has a DCI 24 frames a second. So that's what I shoot in now. And that's why the videos, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's like a bar on the top and the bottom, like really, really small. It's not the same 16:9 ratio as 3840 by 2160. It's now 4069, so it's like 200 pixels wider, 200 something pixels wider. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's what I've been up to. I've been chatting almost for a full hour here, guys, and I made a mess on my desk. Thanks a lot. I can tell you, I've also shot with the Canon 15mm fisheye, which optically is not a good camera. I mean, a good lens for what I'm trying to achieve. It's very fisheye effect, very distorted. In order to do that, I have to use an adapter, basically, that adapts from Canon EF to Sony E. And it makes the lens longer, and I don't know, it's got benefits though, because this adapter has NDs behind the lens, which is nice, because you can't put an ND on this fisheye without putting a huge piece of glass on there. So it's kind of cool. Why the bars? Why not upload native 4069? Let me see why. It's hard to get the. Let me see if that's actually true or not. Go to my channel here. Last video here. I forget why I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it properly is why. I couldn't kick out the proper export for it. Also, another thing that YouTube does is you can't add, I'll show you. You can't add this here. You can't add, you see this clickable thing here and my clickable thing here. If you use any other ratio other than 16:9, YouTube won't allow you to put these in your video. And that's the main reason. That is the main reason why I try and stick to a 16:9, even when I don't upload sometimes at 16:9 and I have to add the bars. YouTube is like kind of forcing a standard, and it's unfortunate. I think in DCI standard is like a digital, I forget what it stands for, but it's kind of like the standard for 4K video for like Netflix and blah blah blah. So basically all they did was like make this camera Netflix certified, I guess. So you can shoot a full Netflix thing on this camera, I guess, with that ratio. It's like digital cinema. I forget what it's called. Here, let's look. So I can tell you, unless someone's faster and they'll act like they already knew it. Digital Cinema Initiatives. I knew I was close. It's 4096 by 2160. So it's just a tiny bit like more pixels on the left and the right, but it's the same height. So it's weird because like in the FX3, people thought you were gonna get like a wider like focal length possibly, but it's actually not any different. Somehow I don't know what they're doing. They must be not using the full sensor. I don't know how it works, but that's what's up. But I do like the new update to the FX3. So let's see. Alexander says, appreciate all the tips and tricks. This is just me experimenting and sharing my thoughts with you guys. This is like how I learn, is just by trying, like I'm not very good at just watching, although I do watch a few YouTube videos to try and see like, how do I do this thing quickly, but I need to do it myself because it's hard for me to just read something and be like, oh yeah, that's what I need to do. Like I need to do it myself to learn why it's already done this way. Do you know what I mean? I need to make my own mistakes and find my own path. And I find that it's better. It's good to be researched and know what people have done before you, but it's also important to try things yourself. You might learn why, it might take you down another path anyways. So